Wouldn't you know it, technical difficulties?
Hey, Mr. Rodriguez. How are you? Hey. Okay. Thanks. You alright? Good.
Fine. I was thinking about having sex with you at 8, but if you
Come on.
I was just thinking of things myself.
Well, that's an interesting thread.
It's a win-win situation for me.
I forgot to tell you I called him and said we'd like to discuss something with him. Yeah, I called him while you're out.
You know what? I've been having technical difficulties, so we're just going to go ahead and fly right into it, okay? Now, Keith leaves June 13th. And I lay down and crumple on the couch. I was like, okay, there's my chance, and I've lost it. I've lost it. The 14th, I called Jim Bob and his aunt, and I said, can y'all come pick me up? Let me spend the weekend with y'all. And so that's what I did. I spent the 14th to the night of the 17th with them. And then, okay, July 19th, 2001. I'm sitting there, I'm getting ready to go see my psychiatrist, and I'm watching this preacher, and he's going on and on about how your prayers will be answered. And all of a sudden, there was a knock on my door. And I answered it, and he said, and this one missionary said, we're missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we would like to share a gospel with a message with you. And I said, oh my gosh, I've been praying for you guys to come see me for weeks now. I said, look, I got a doctor's appointment. Can you come back by tomorrow? Some point. So we set up a time. I went to see my doctor. I announced to him what I was doing. And if you're free, the British accent put at the beginning of this sounds, according to my friends, sounds a lot like him. He said, no, Mr. Hendrick, I can't believe you're going to do this. You're actually serious thinking about going through with it? You're actually going through this strange Mormonism? Are you insane? I'm like, no, I'm not Dr. Lethbridge. That's a pseudonym for him because I felt like he was blocking my progression. No, I'm not Dr. Lethbridge. I've been miserable for some time. And this is the right thing to do. Okay, the next day, I start going through a series of 6 different lessons. And I met 2 people. A dearly departed Ward Mission President, back then it was called that, now it's Ward Mission Leaders, George Cofer, and a friend of mine, Chris. And they gave me tender testimonies and was able to share the gospel with me. Chris was able to open the scriptures and expound to me how blessed and important the gospel was to me. And I'll tell you something, there's nothing like it. Okay, you remember the 24th, okay? I'm sitting there, it's 10:30 on the morning of the 24th. I get a call from the missioner. I said, hey, can we come over at 11:30? We're bringing pizza for lunch, and we're bringing one of your special friends. So they come, and Chris is there, and we're having lunch, and he's teaching me the lesson about the plan of salvation. And you talk about being stoked. You talk about and Chris said, Jimmy, I can tell you've been hurting. What's going on? I said, does the church accept divorced people rather, for the priesthood ministry? He said, Jimmy, you know, I judge by the expression on your face and what you're going through. He said, I can see that this wasn't your fault, what happened to you. I said, well, there's a problem, though. I'm concerned I might lose some of my friends. He said, and Chris said something that I'll never forget to this day, to my dying day. He said this, he said, Jimmy, I'm your friend, and I love you. He said, listen to me. Here's the thing. If they are your real friends, they will accept your conversion. And if they end up backing out of the friendship, that's just because the matter of fact is that they were not your real friends to begin with. Now, you talk about amazing. And so Chris immediately texts me under my wing. He's my elders quorum president. And it's decided that day that he's going to baptize me. Okay? Not long after that, I go for errands and dinner with my parents. Unbeknownst to them, I was studying Keith's, that little triple combination that Keith had in the car on the way to different errands and to dinner. And when I came back, it was still daylight and everything. And I stood there, and I was just like, the sounds and everything, and I was in awe. I was like, wow. I realize what I'm getting myself into. This is amazing. Because I remember the day when they asked me if I wanted to be baptized, and I said yes. And you talk about a strong spirit, a feeling of the spirit that you just can't deny. You just can't deny. I'm going to go back to when Keith was there. One night when he was staying with him, I was sleeping, Everything was quiet. And then I had the dream that I was in Jim Bob's backyard, and I was being dragged down to hell. And I saw the fires and everything. I got jolted up out of bed, and I turned on my Christian music. And Keith woke up and he said, Jimmy, do you absolutely have to have it on? I said, Keith, I just had the worst nightmare in my life. I felt like I was being dragged down to hell, and this voice said to me, that if I joined the church, I was going to hell. And Keith said, Jimmy, you just keep on playing that music. And what I had while I slept with that music is the most sacred experience. It's like I experienced the Lord in a new way, and I just can't reveal it, what happened, but it was just mind-blowing. But I'm not saying that my conversion was easy. It wasn't. On the 15th of July, I was confirmed. The next day, I knew in my spirit I had to tell Brad. So I emailed Brad, because my friends in the church was like, Jimmy, he has to know. And then I go stay with my Uncle Andy. And I called to talk to him in the hotel room, and Brad's like, Jimmy, you could have chose any other religion. Why in the heck did you have to go Mormon on me? I said, and he lists all these different, Protestant denominations. I said, Brad, I'm not here to debate with you. And I hung up the phone. I didn't hear from him for 5 months. And it was getting to the point that even Jim Bob was losing interest in me. And I was like, what did I sign up for? What in the world is wrong with me? And I started feeling lonely and desperate. And so Chris introduced me to someone that was less active that needed a little help. And so, I'm not going to give his real name because I felt like it was a block in my progression. It wasn't Chris's fault. But I'm going to go ahead and give him the name of Jeff Fordham, okay? And Jeff Fordham, he decided that he was inactive. He wanted to get back to the church and everything with his wife and everything. But there was a catch. There was a problem. First he's all sweet talking me because, he saw that I was dealing with a lot of rejection. And then he went on this crusade to try to fix my eyes. And then my dad was on this crusade where I was trying to fix my eyes. And all of a sudden I was like, if this is what living the restored gospel is like, then I quit. But luckily, my mama and my daddy called me and found me in tears, and they talked some sense into me. Okay? So meanwhile, I'm having tepid interest with Jim Bob, except over audio chat lines. And things are taking over my life until finally, the 10th of September, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to Jeff. I said, you know what? Brad hasn't called me in 2 months. He's like, Jimmy, who cares? If Brad's your friend, he'd be here for you now. He'd be here for you more. He said, you gotta find a way to stop feeling sorry for yourself and go on. The next day was the big thing. The Twin Towers fell. I fell asleep. And you know me, my evangelical training about the rapture and everything. I don't know why. I thought it was some kind of futuristic dream. And I woke up, and it was like the Twin Towers fell. It was like, boom. And my first reaction was, blankety, blank, 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 bomb them suckers into the Stone Age. And this went on with me for about 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden, I started crying. Because I remembered I had a little nephew. You know, my 20-year-old nephew, Braden. I thought, Jimmy, what would it be like if it was your nephew? And you had to go to their house and explain to them why Daddy or Mama was coming home. And I felt the spirit. It was like a shock to my system. I was like, I said I quit. I said I quit. Am I insane? And that's funny. It's ironic. It's around that time, you know, Labor Day weekend and everything. You know, my psychiatrist, I'm trying to start a paralegal business, and I had put God bless you on my answer machine. And he was saying stuff like, well, you shouldn't put God bless you on the business answer machine. And my mama said, you just keep right on doing what you're doing. If he doesn't like it, you can get you another psychiatrist. So anyway, here's what happened. After September 11th, for the longest time, I didn't question the gospel. I didn't question what I knew. Okay? So the rest of 2001 passes by pretty good. I'm studying and everything. And everything is going great, you know. And I'm studying stuff from the different things from psychologists and members of the Quorum of the 12 and the like about mental illness. I think, well, you got to accept it at some point or another. Okay, 2002, February 3rd, I received the Melchizedek priesthood from Chris's father, who at the time happened to be a member of the stake presidency. Okay? And then in April, I received my patriarchal blessing. I remember that was another watershed date, April 19th, I believe, of 2002. They were having trouble getting me rides and everything, and things were getting frustrated. And I was about to do this feature, I quit. But Heavenly Father restrained me, and I received my patriarchal blessing. And it is such a wonderful blessing to behold and get a hold of. You talk about being amazed. Like no problem. No problem whatsoever. Of course, I had some major family crises and bumps along the road. In August, because Jim Bob wasn't expressing much interest to me that much anymore, I let my Uncle Andy stay with me, and that led to another thing, and it was like 2 months of just problem after problem after problem. Finally, I had to ask him to leave. And it was at this point to where my mental health was hitting crisis mode. And I consulted Chris and some other friends of mine in the church. It's like, Jimmy, it's time to get you out of here. And Chris and another friend of mine, Mike, said, Jimmy, you need to go ahead and apply to graduate school. And so in September, I'd asked the Lord, I said, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go to BYU? Because I'll be happy to go to BYU. If you want me to, I'll do whatever it takes. He said, Jimmy, I want you to go back to Texas Tech. He said, you'll be happy back at Texas Tech. It's your old stomping grounds. Who knows what good will come from you there. Okay, so that's what happened. And as a result, in January, I applied to Texas Tech graduate school to study public administration. If I had to do it all over again, I would have applied for a master's, say, in communication studies or the like. But anyway, on February 10th, I was hit by a major bombshell. Keith was diagnosed with cirrhosis